Welcome back to normal baseball. The Rangers have taken the first game in Arizona to take a 2-1 series lead in the World Series. We're here to talk all about it. Welcome back to normal baseball. I'm Alex Normal Dog. That's Lewis. And yeah, game three of the World Series just ended a few minutes ago. The Rangers marched in to Arizona and beat the Diamondbacks. Final score was 3-1. It was a pretty good game, pretty fun game. A lot of stuff happened. I would argue it was probably second craziest game we've seen so far. Still a really fun game, and I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah, I am too. Definitely one of the more interesting games for this series so far. Looking forward to seeing what you thought about some things. I'm looking forward to sharing what I thought about some things, and I'm ready to jump right into it.
Yeah. So, there was just so much that happened in this game. I mean, what should we go with first? I mean, I think we should go with the guys who won the Rangers this game, and that was the two big guns in this lineup getting paid $500 million between them, Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Semien went a little bit quiet throughout the playoffs. He's been quiet throughout the playoffs for the Rangers. But in this game, in his second at bat, he RBI single. Nate Lowe got on second with a double, and Semien was finally able to produce and brought in the first run of the game, made it 1-0 Rangers. And then, wasting little to no time, was the other big name in this lineup, Corey Seager, who on the first pitch from Brandon Pfaadt took him 421 feet to right field. A laser shot made it 3-0 at the time. And obviously, the Diamondbacks only scored one run. So Seager and Semien, those two pitches won them this game. I guess three if you want to count the double by Lowe. But yeah, it was a very quiet night offensively for both teams. And that was the equalizer from the Rangers, the two big guns.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how quick both Simeon and Cedar, compared to the rest of the lineup, were immediately just attacking Brandon Pfaadt and his pitches. Like you said, Cedar was on the first pitch. He just wanted it. And you could tell in that swing, I mean, Corey Seager has one of the best lefty swings in baseball. To see it on the big stage again after what we saw in 2020 was amazing. I could not have seen a better home run, honestly. Like, Corey Seager hit it 115 miles an hour, 421 feet away from home plate. That's just absurd. That's absurd, and there's only
Yeah,
like a handful of guys that could have done that on the first pitch, and Corey Seager is one of them. And it's become so far, both of Corey Seager's home runs in this World Series have been Corey Seager moments where I genuinely think anyone not named Corey Seager in that lineup does not get that home run, does not get that run around. Like, Corey Seager is just a different animal. He's a different beast, and it's really cool to watch him and the rest of this Texas Rangers lineup.
yeah, I agree. That shot when it came off the bat, it got out in a hurry.
That's a
Like you
Corey
said,
Seager homer.
115 miles an hour off the bat, like you said. It was a shot. And that was really the only mistakes that Brandon Pfaadt made tonight. He went five and a third. He only gave up those three runs, but aside from those three hits from Lowe, Seager, and Semien, he was pretty good. He struck out four, but again, he did shut them down. Um, yes, the Rangers won this game, but in terms of the rest of their lineup performing, I mean, you put up three runs. You should be happy about your pitching not giving up that many runs, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the bottom half of the Rangers lineup, the 5 through 9 hitters in this Rangers lineup have failed to do really anything throughout this World Series so far. Um, they're they went 1 for 17 tonight. The bottom 5 through 9 in their order, which isn't something you like to see. The closest, Mitch Garver had a ball that was hit to dead center field and just died at the track. So, that would have been a nice boost in the bottom half of that lineup. But aside from that, I mean, it didn't look great
Yeah,
from the bottom half of the Rangers lineup. So I'd be a little bit worried going into game for, because again, if Semien and Seager don't do what they did, your entire lineup shut down. So they're really not getting any backup from the bottom half, which is an issue.
Yeah, and I guess we're jumping around it right now, but the biggest concern, honestly, for the Rangers going into tomorrow night's game is Adolis Garcia looked to be injured. And I don't know
Yeah,
what happened there. I saw it on the broadcast of, he just took a swing, he popped out, no big deal type of thing, and then the broadcast cuts to him like hunched over at first base, and then they show the replay. He immediately grabbed his back. I hope that he's okay, as well as Max Scherzer, who also got injured and had to get pulled from this game early.
yeah.
Garcia,
I guess.
though, if you're going to miss him for the rest of the series, massive blow, considering
Yeah,
that
I guess.
now he's
You
part
know,
of history.
yeah. Moving to that injury front, like you said, that Adolis injury. Like you just explained, if that is to be something serious and something that will keep him out of future games in this World Series, that is going to be terrible, a terrible blow for the Rangers. What they would do to pivot, I don't know. You'd have to play either Jankowski, Ezekiel Duran, or who am I forgetting here?
Travis Jankowski.
No, I said Jankowski. It's Jankowski, Duran, or one more. But you'd have to play one of them, which obviously, no matter who you look at, is a hit to their lineup because of what Adolis has been doing. He did go a little cold um, in game 2 of 3, um, but I don't think it's too much of a concern. I think having Adolis in that lineup can't really hurt because of how hot he's been. So hopefully that's not a crazy bad injury. As for Scherzer, I think he'll be fine. I don't think that injury was too bad, the Scherzer injury. So in the second inning, he was hit in the elbow by a comebacker.
Yeah.
He did pitch in the third inning, so he came back out in the third inning, pitched the entire inning. First batter, he got a strikeout, but then I guess after the third, he must have felt something and decided to come out of the game,
So,
um,
according
which really sucked.
according to multiple reports that I've seen on Twitter or X, whatever they call it now, according to multiple reports, it is that Scherzer claims that his back locked up on him and he did not feel comfortable standing or moving. So, obviously he's not in a position to answer if he'll be available for any other part of this series. But
Yeah.
just hearing that out of a guy who we know, big game performer, World Series champ for a reason and has been spectacular in his career in the playoffs. I hate to see that for him. Really do. No matter
I
what, it hurts.
I think this was the game where he gears up. He was gearing up to remind everyone who he was.
Yeah.
Everyone said, in that ALCS, he didn't have that great of performances. But so far in the 3 innings that he pitched, I mean, only 2 hits, no earned runs. I think he was gearing up to go 6 or 7 innings of no hit baseball, of no run baseball.
Yeah, he looked like it.
So just a huge blow. And that line drive, I think, did hit off his back and his elbow. So, again, that could be part of the causation. In that play, too, incredible defensive play by Josh Young.
Oh yeah.
Hit off Scherzer's arm and bounced towards Young, and he made the play and got the out. So that's pretty awesome.
That was
Uh,
like beyond spectacular. In the moment, I thought that it was like a for sure hit, but seeing Josh Jung just get down the line quick, bare hand, like very like Arenado esque, make that throw from like you not picking it up and then pulling to throw, like just doing it in one motion sort of thing. I don't know how to describe it because it's like it's just so abnormal and it's so cool to see these great third basemen make these type of plays. It's amazing.
and that wasn't even the biggest defensive play in this game, arguably.
No.
In the second inning, just before that play happened, um, the Diamondbacks had a runner on second. Christian Walker was on second. Each had just doubled. And Tommy Pham slaps a base hit into right field. And Adolis Garcia comes up throwing. Christian Walker went through the third base coach's stop sign, and it was a horrible idea. Adolis gunned him down at home. It was like a momentum stopper. they were going to take the lead in the game. It would have been 1-0 at that point. And dare I remind you that both of these teams are undefeated in the playoffs when they score first. So scoring that first one run was really big for them. And, he went through the stop sign and paid the price.
If you watch it, the replay, I even said it at the time when I was watching the game, Christian Walker never looked up. He made it about halfway to third base on the single, saw the third base coach giving the go, waving him around, and then right as he sees that, Adolis picks up the ball, the third base coach throws up the stop sign, and Christian Walker is looking down, like he's hustling, you put your head down and run type of thing, and just blew through the stop sign, absolutely hosed. Honestly,
that's kind of an excuse. I mean, I understand the mistake,
but you have to know where the ball's going.
He took accountability for it afterwards, which you have to be looking at your third base coach, and you have to be looking at the ball yourself. I get that the first base coach is there to help you, and he did throw up the stop sign probably a little late at that point.
Yes,
but you got to be looking. I mean, you can't just head down Bryce Harper. It's different when Bryce Harper does it. He knows he's going to score. But Christian Walker, I mean, he's not the speediest guy on that team.
There's a reason why his name is Walker and not Runner. Let's just say
you got to be looking. But that was, like I said, I think probably the biggest moment in this game because whoever scored first had such a big chance of winning. Both of these teams haven't lost after they scored first. And by the way, the Rangers still haven't lost on the road this postseason. They're 9-0.
Yeah.
They just
which is
thrive
impressive
playing on the road. Yeah, so we'll see. Can they continue that streak in Game 4? That's a question to be answered in Game 4. But going back to the Rangers pitching staff, I did just want to say, Scherzer coming out of that game and not winding up going 6 or 7 innings was kind of big for them because tomorrow in Game 4, they planned on having a bullpen game. And when your starter only goes 3 innings the day before a bullpen game, that's not great. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, they probably still will use a lot of the same guys tomorrow if they need to. If it's a close game, they'll use some of the same guys.
For sure.
They can pitch back-to-back days, but then the issue becomes, Game 5 is the day after Game 4. So what do you do in Game 5 when these guys have pitched 2 days in a row? Do you want to pitch them for a third day in a row? That's something you have to figure out throughout there, and that honestly depends on how Game 4 goes. I will say John Gray was probably the MVP pitcher of this game, in my opinion. Came in for Scherzer and threw 3 scoreless innings and looked pretty good doing it. So I think that was huge for the Rangers as well. They did still use some of their big they did use pretty much all 3 of their big bullpen arms in Spores, Chapman, and Leclerc. But again, they can use them tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I just think what John Gray did coming 3 innings in relief was huge.
For sure. John Gray, unsung hero for this Texas Rangers bullpen and pitching staff, honestly. Just because of, like you said, him coming in and shutting down the Arizona Diamondbacks lineup the way that he did. Really, really cool to see him step up to the plate, be that big game guy when... Honestly, after Scherzer got pulled, there was a part of me that was thinking this might be a very bad look if they decide to just go with 1 or 2 inning guys. Excuse me for my pause, but I do think John Gray stepping up was unsung hero, MVP type of stuff. The big question is now, obviously tomorrow, or Game 4, I should say, is going to be a bullpen game from the Texas Rangers, a bullpen game. Right, because they could have
from the Diamondbacks too.
Right, so from the Diamondbacks too, but for the Rangers, you could have Dane Dunning or Andrew Heaney honestly go for the first 2 innings. Try to get something started there. How is this Diamondbacks lineup gonna respond to constantly not seeing the same pitcher for a couple of times through the order? The Rangers seem to want to play this matchup thing, lefty and all that. Because Bruce Bochy is a very old-school manager in that sense. How do you think the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to try to tackle that How do you think... Oh, God, excuse me. Sorry about this. How do you think the Diamondbacks lineup is going to tackle the Rangers bullpen tomorrow?
I think it's going to be a really tough task because I think what the Rangers are going to do is exactly what you said. I don't think that the Rangers are going to let any of the Diamondbacks hitters see a pitcher more than once tomorrow. I think, we might see Heaney for a couple innings, depending on, how quick he can get through the order. And then as soon as he gets through the order, I think they maybe bring in Dunning. And then after that, you do the bullpen arms, you do Sport, depending on how close to the game, of course. If the Rangers take a huge lead, they'll leave Heaney in, they'll leave Dunning in. But in a close game, it'll be probably Heaney, maybe Dunning after Heaney. I just think that might be the goal for the Rangers is to not really let the Diamondbacks see the pitchers more than once. So it's constantly having to adjust to the new pitcher. I think that
If
can play in their favor.
if the Diamondbacks do jump on Heaney and Dunning, right, which we're assuming are going to be the first two guys to pitch for the Rangers in Game 4, if they jump on him, what is the Rangers' game plan? Do they think about, like, hey, let's get our guys well rested for Game 5, or our lineup is one of the best in baseball and we're here for a reason. Let's try to mount a 5-run comeback, a 6-run comeback, because both teams are more than capable of putting up double-digit runs in a game very
Yeah, I
easily.
was gonna
So
say.
it really depends on what's going to happen with each of these lineups, especially the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends on how much they do hit Heaney and Dunning. Like what do you count as hitting them? Like 3 runs isn't really. I mean, I know for a World Series game, obviously these two pitching staffs have been really good, so 3 runs does seem like a lot, but I wouldn't count that as instantly we're like, oh, let's just throw this game. I think maybe if we're talking, we see a 10 spot or something, or a 7 or an 8 spot put up in the first like 2 or 3 innings, then you're talking about maybe saying let's rest our key guys and go into tomorrow. So I actually think in this game the Diamondbacks bullpen might have taken the bigger, not bigger hit, but it also did take a hit because when you look at the Rangers, they used 2 starters for 6 innings. So
Their bullpen,
technically,
yeah, is fine.
technically they used starters for longer than the Diamondbacks did because Fott only pitched 5 1/3. So, I think they're on similar paths. Obviously, you don't have John Gray for tomorrow, but he's not like a bullpen arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's a
So,
postseason bullpen arm, which is basically a starter in the regular season who can give you a mid reliever, long reliever type of role when it comes to the postseason. And John Gray has done that perfectly so far in this postseason.
yeah, I will say the only difference is that the Diamondbacks were able to limit this damage. Obviously, final score of 3-1 without using their higher leverage relievers.
Earlier in the game, of
Um,
course.
uh, well, I
They
don't think
still
that they
used
used them.
Leclerc. They still used him. It was
Oh, the
just to
Diamondbacks. I
save the
said
game.
I said the Diamondbacks.
Oh,
I said
oh,
the
oh.
Diamondbacks.
My apologies. My
Yeah, the
apologies.
Diamondbacks limited the damage um, by not you. They not didn't use their high leverage pitchers. Um, Obviously, Ginkle wasn't used. Ginkel, however you want to pronounce it. You didn't have Mantiply. You didn't have Paul Sewald. It wasn't a safe situation. So those 3 guys are their key bullpen arms. Arguably. So not using them in this game was really big, and I think that did put kind of an advantage for the Diamondbacks for tomorrow because obviously the same pitchers aren't pitching back-to-back days, and for Game 5 since they're not risking pitching someone 3 days in a row.
Oh yeah, you can't do that. Even though you have a whole off season, it's not worth a pitcher's career. We've seen it with the 2019 Nationals. It's not worth a pitcher's career to have basically a bullpen that consists of 3 or 4 guys. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible for them to pitch 3 days in a row, but it's a matter of again, it depends on the pitcher, it depends on how the pitcher's feeling. Like you said, sometimes it's just not worth it to risk a career-ending injury for one game.
yeah.
It depends on the situation. The last kind of note that I really wanted to hit, last key thing that I think in this game, Ketel Marte got another hit late in the game too, extended his postseason hitting streak to 18 games to start his postseason career, which obviously is a record, MLB record. He added to it, so that was kind of the last thing that I had, and I'm ready for Game 4. You got anything else, Lewis?
I am also ready for Game 4. The last thing, though, I do want to mention is I think the Rangers got a little bit of a break. This Diamondbacks lineup only being limited to one run is a rare occurrence. We said it after Game 2 with. Oh. We said it after Game 2 with the Rangers, the same thing. It's a rare occurrence to limit a team like this to one run. And I think the same thing applies to both teams. I don't think that there's a way that that happens again. The Diamondbacks are going to be better tomorrow, and I hope that the Rangers are ready for it.
I wouldn't call it catching a break. I don't think that's the right term for that. I think the Rangers pitching staff shut them down.
No, okay. Enough jumping around it. The home plate umpire shut down the Diamondbacks lineup.
No,
there were plenty of questionable calls.
I get it. A few bad calls. I don't think that changed the overall, final outcome of the game. You said it. We were texting during that at bat, that one of the last at bats of the game to Christian Walker.
Oh yes, Walker or Moreno.
One of them. I think it was Walker with the ball four should have been ball four, but
totally
giving him a pitch back.
Yeah.
Because the second pitch of the at bat was definitely a strike and it was called a ball, so he was giving him one back. So I think it kind of balanced out, and I don't think they caught a break. I think that they shut down the Diamondbacks lineup, which is a very good thing for them. And honestly, if you're looking at the Diamondbacks too, I would argue that they kind of shut down the Rangers lineup too. The Rangers may have won this game, but they only had 5 hits. The Diamondbacks had more hits than the Rangers did this game. Both lineups.
Corey Seager and Marcus Semien beat the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how they did it. They did it. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's catching a break. I think it's more of just things went more right for them. That they were able to do more than the Diamondbacks did. You know how you win a baseball game?
You score more runs.
Than the opponent.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I want to say before we get out of here is I love both stadiums in this series. Like, it is so hard watching, like, even during like the pop flies in both Arlington and in Chase Field in Arizona, like the atmosphere that you can just see. Like certain stadiums have that, like Fenway Park when there's a fly ball in left field and you see that monster and the camera has to zoom in and you see all the fans celebrating, or Wrigley Field with the ivy and just all on the outfield wall. Like, there are certain stadiums that just like make you feel like you're more there than just sitting on your couch and watching the game, and definitely these are two stadiums that I love to just watch baseball games in.
Yeah, and I mean, if we want to also mention the stadiums too, both indoor stadiums, they both have roofs.
Roof was open tonight.
Yeah, but still, they both do have roofs. That was just the first time in World Series history, I believe, that both stadiums are dome, roof.
Cool. Pretty cool.
And I did see, Chase Field, that stadium does tend to take home runs away at center field. They were talking about it on the broadcast.
Yeah.
It takes home runs away at center field, and Mitch Garver probably would have had a home run. I mean, in 19 out of 30 ballparks, that ball would have been a home run. But Chase Field wasn't one of them, which is all that mattered in that game. So
my favorite quote.
Ballparks were fun.
Yeah, my favorite quote was John Smoltz said that, he talked to a lot of the guys pregame, and especially Alec Thomas, who's the center fielder for the Diamondbacks. He said that a lot of guys were saying, hey, center field is where baseball's going to die because no one's hitting it out there unless you have some crazy type of power. And honestly, in this series, there's only like 2 or 3 guys that can do it, and I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but I just don't think Mitch Garver can do it compared to a couple other guys.
I was going to say, I think he can, but, that just wasn't the pitch to do it.
Yeah, definitely not. But I'm ready to get out of here.
As far as the series so far, it's been a crazy good series so far. A lot of people were not happy with the outcome of this the championship series and the matchup for the World Series, but it's been a hell of a series so far, and I'm excited for Game 4 tomorrow night.
And I hate the fact, because you mentioned this. I hate the fact that news, like sports websites and all that, like ESPN SportsCenter, are covering this, and the headlines are not, two unlikely teams make the World Series. It's lowest watched World Series game in the history of television. Like, shut up. I don't care. Let me enjoy baseball. The people who want to watch the baseball game are going to watch the baseball game. Just because there's no big market, we get to watch the Dodgers lose again. Like, just because there's none of that, everyone's like, oh, what's the point of watching? Who cares? Baseball's fun. That's what I have to say.
I think, the big market is what brings casual fans more in. But if you are a baseball fan and you call yourself a baseball fan, this is the series to watch. This has been one.
It's the only one to watch too.
Well, I'm just saying, I think at some point, like, if these two teams were big markets, this series would be drawing like probably the highest numbers we've ever seen. You know what I mean? It's just been such a series that people are just saying, because the teams, it can't possibly be a good game if I don't know these two teams by heart, But whatever. That's not a me problem. I can't fix the ratings of baseball. But we could try. We'll tell you guys what happened. And that's upside down, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And with that being said, Game 4 is tomorrow. And we thank you guys for watching, listening, viewing, and subscribing. And we will see you guys after Game 4 tomorrow. Peace. Wait, take that off your head?